we have a book cover. After 2 years of working on this thing, I finally have the face of all that hard work. And I didn't think it would be an emotional experience to see the cover of my book, but it was. Now, of course, you can see what the title of the book is. The title of the book is Looking Up. And while it's literal in the sense that that's actually what I'm doing in that photo, the reason it's called Looking Up has not so much to do with the physical act of looking up. It's more of a metaphor. And once you read it, you will understand why it's called Looking Up. But I tried to stay as far away from the typical look of hashtag van life books or blogs or anything else, because while the story is about the time that I was living out of my cargo van and driving around small town America, that's not actually the message of the story. The book starts when I lose my TV job, or when I'm losing my TV job, my dream job, and it's dark. If you recall from some other videos, I could not get, a lot of agents didn't want it because the beginning they said needed a trigger warning and a sensitivity warning, and my name and sensitivity never go in the same sentence. So the beginning is not pretty, but it explains how I even got into a cargo van by myself. So you can't have the beginning without, it might have made the book more marketable if I just focused on the, out there freewheeling, solo female traveler having a blast, but that's not what happened. And I think that in order to get the message of the book, you have to know the beginning. We have a lot of decisions to make about just this cover alone, so I was hoping to get some feedback about that. The big one, the main one, is about the subtitle. So they put the subtitle above the title. We will be pulling that back down. After all, it is called a subtitle. But I really struggled to write the subtitle of the book because it's hard to encapsulate everything that it is, because it's two very different points of life and then a wrap up. The issue that I'm keep hitting is the use of van life in the subtitle. And my concern is that it will pigeonhole the book. That people will think that van life is a brand or a movement, and it kind of is, but they'll think that it's a company, because if you're not part of that subculture, you might not know what that is. And so whether or not to use that, and would people put it down or turn away from it if they thought that it was a travel book or a book about building a cargo van build out, which some of that is in there, but it's not the message. So do I continue to use that phrase? And if not, take that out. And then the subtitle is a memoir about life set in exits, which actually that is what the book is about. The cargo van was just the medium by which I traveled. So that's one decision. The other decision is about the title. Originally, I said I just wanted simple white. Well, then they sent me this, where I've got the stars coming through and it's blue, and I like that it's different. I think that it looks a lot more professional. I think it's unique and different. But does the title take a back seat to the image or anything else if it's not big, bold, and white? I guess I'm kind of leaning towards using the blue because it's different. And does that make it stand out? But also because just the white font everywhere, to me, that's something I could have done like on a desktop publisher and not paid oodles of money to have designed for me. The photo is interesting. That photo was when I was formally overheating in Texas because I had so little access. I had no windows. And I finally granted myself a stay at a Texas state park. And Texas's state campgrounds are divine. They're wonderful. And they're so wonderful that everyone wants to be in them. So I saved up some money that I got off YouTube and Patreon, and I get the space, and I get the last space, and I took the coldest shower, and the air conditioning was on, and that was wonderful. And the sky up above was just so amazing that night. I was up in hill country that I opened up the doors and looked up at the sky, and a few minutes, maybe less, after that photo was taken by me with a tripod, there's nobody else there, was when I got the text message, and I don't think this was in any of my YouTube videos, maybe not, but I got a text message that the house that had the rest of my belongings, the few boxes of remaining things to my name that were stored in this house, and the house that I was supposed to be coming back to as a home, the owners of it had a change of heart and they wanted to put a tenant in there. And so I needed to get my stuff out, and I would not be coming back to that home on my return journey. The problem was I was in the middle of the woods, and so I had really no way to converse with them besides text messaging. And plus I was panicking. I was totally panicking because I'm in the woods. I can't talk to them. And then these are like, this is the last stuff to my name is what's in that van. And then those few boxes. And living out of a cargo van when there's no home to go back to, when everything you have is in a couple boxes, you become oddly territorial about those last remaining possessions because that's all you have. And we see some of this in people who are genuinely homeless, is they carry around the last of their things no matter where they are, and they keep them in their car, they carry them physically because that's it. That's the last of their worldly possessions. And that's how I felt about that stuff. And we ended up I won't give away too much in the book, but the things that were in that house got resolved. But the more important part of that story is that was the night, a few minutes after this photo, that I formally became homeless. There was no home to go back to in Wilmington. That cargo van was my home. And so then the question became, well, where am I headed to at this point? Because as long as Wilmington and that house, that address, was the destination, then I was on a journey that was circular. Well, the moment that address disappeared, I was just driving. I had no direction. Was I still going back to Wilmington? You know, my things could be shipped. Where was I headed? There's no hero's journey. There's no hero's return in a story arc if there's nowhere to return to. And so I felt very lost that night because I felt like Wilmington wasn't home anymore. I did not plan on living in that cargo van. This was supposed to be a big adventure. And so now I was just formally a tumbleweed. And that night, which was supposed to be wonderful and relaxing with a shower and air conditioner, I was up all night long, chewing through my nails, trying to figure out how did this supposed 3-week trip to clear my mind so I could get my life back on track. I'm now months into it, and this van is uncomfortable, and I have no job prospects, and now home is not home anymore. So it was actually a pretty big moment on the trip in Texas. And we all know that I stayed in the van well after Texas. So I'm going to show you some of these different book covers again. And again, I'll say it's easier to view on social media. But what we're trying to decide here is between white or blue title, and then whether or not to remove van life from the subtitle. And I have been told from the publisher that it will not affect search words or anything like that. And it's just a personal decision that I need to make. So please put those comments in the comment section. I very much would like some suggestions about this because you will be the one buying it, right? And that's the big update. So the plan right now is to have the book out ready for print and publish on November 15th-ish. I know a lot of people have asked for audiobook, know that it's coming. It'll be sometime in the winter or spring, but your support for the book that I sat down and hammered out word by word, sentence by sentence, is most appreciated. So put your comments about the cover down in the comment section. I will be reading through all those, and I will see you again soon, weirdos.